everyone. We're here back on the red sofa. I've got with me today Praveen Prakash, a Global Component and Supply Quality Director from VinFast. Praveen, thanks very much for joining us here. You've just been on a panel discussion here in Singapore about how to build a more resilient supply chain in the region and within VinFast itself. Can you just perhaps start by telling our wider audience a bit about your top priorities and objectives in your role and coming up, particularly as VinFast ramps up volume?
Okay, so you rightly catch the word, ramping up volume. So scaling our volumes will remain our top priority for this year and the upcoming years as well, as we are expanding globally as well as within the region. And when I say scaling, it's not just the quantity of the products, it's also the quality and the reliability of the products and the suppliers which we work with.
Fantastic. And in that role and in those priorities, what are the kind of key pain points or your top pain points that you're seeing in the supply chain as you grow and expand your work here?
To talk about the key pain points, number one, speed. Right. VinFast as a company, we are very fast, but the pace at which we are evolving, sometimes our suppliers are not able to catch up with our pace. And this pace is in production as well as in quality terms as well. When I say quality, it's the speed of problem solving, which tends to be comparatively lower because the local supplier base has a capability gap. And there is a traditional lag in the problem solving approach.
Yeah, and talking of supply quality operations, I want to get a sense of the most critical factors that you see when it comes to delivering a more resilient supply chain within that side.
I think the two critical factors I would say is one is to bridge the capability gap as we see in the local supply base, because these are the bunch of suppliers who are committed, who are eager to step up their entrepreneurial business to the next level, right? At the same time, there is a gap in capability that needs to be addressed. So first and foremost will be the gap in commitment. Second is to challenge the traditional lead times that we are working with for any activity. It can be problem solving, it can be production, it can be your standard order to delivery lead times, right? So be it any issue, the culture has to change from, okay, it happens because it happens. No, it's not that way. It has to be like, okay, it has happened. I need to stop, I need to correct, and then I need to run. So anything has to be done in a period of, say, 24 hours. And this culture and mindset is what will build resilience in the supply chain, because all these external noise factors that impact resilience, like it can be the typhoons that often come in Vietnam, or the geopolitical tensions with the whatever change of regime that comes across the globe, right? So I think it's more important to have resilience built from within than to expect the world to be kind to us.
Yeah, and it's important, isn't it? Because there are certain things you can control as an organization, and there are certain things that you can't control. And one of the things I suppose you can control is looking at your supply chain footprint in the region. So in terms of that, how do you see it evolving, whether you rely on more global partnerships, or is it much more leveraging your local, your regional work in Vietnam and Asia?
8 years ago, when VinFast started our automotive journey, we did work with a lot of global suppliers from the west all the way to the east. We had suppliers in Americas, we had suppliers in Brazil, we had suppliers in, you name, any auto, across we had a bunch of suppliers across the globe. But as we learned the art of automotive manufacturing, right? And then we step into the art of learning automotive sourcing and how to be more cost competitive, right? Because end of the day, if I am a customer, I'll go for a product that's cheaper for me.
Of course.
Offering, and if I have A offering at $100 and B offering at $89, both offering me same comparable quality, I'll go for B, right? So how do I keep my costs down? Then I'll have to look for in-region sourcing.
Yeah.
Right? So from where we started to what we are today, we have progressed from global west to east sourcing to a more focused in-region sourcing, especially with focusing on most local contents to be manufactured in Vietnam. And of course, as we are expanding into Indonesia and in the broader Asia Pacific in India as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned that regionalization, and obviously cost is an element, but there are other areas in terms of excellence and quality. How do you work with your suppliers to build on a more regional and local excellence and build that quality up from the region?
See, for me, suppliers are nothing but your extra pair of arms. So, like how extension of the
organization, right? Yeah.
Not just an extension; they are an extra pair of your arms, right? Because your arms are busy building cars.
Yeah.
So you need another set of arms, right, to manufacture the components for that, right? So, what I strongly believe is OEM dependent on supplier is vice versa. Suppliers dependent on OEM, vice versa is OEM is more dependent on suppliers, right? So within VinFast, what we practice and what we believe strongly is we work very closely integrated with suppliers from development all the way into quality approval process and cut into production, and we don't stop just there. We get into the operational plannings of suppliers right the way from the equipments they buy, the shop floor layout that they plan, the industrialization setup that they are going to have for VinFast, and the sub-tier sourcing strategy which they want to follow, right? So we kind of get into all those operational stuff to be sure that they are not failing and they don't have to reinvent the wheel which someone has already did at some part of the world.
And I suppose that is collaboration, isn't it, with your tier suppliers, and making sure that if they fail, you fail. If they succeed, then you succeed.
Exactly.
Right? And in that sense of building that resilient supply chain, what would you most require of your supply chain partners to ensure that resilience is there and it stays there for the longer run?
To build resilience, like as I said, we have to look within, right? So when I look within, there are only two things that I look from my suppliers. One is transparency. When I say transparency, it's all about sharing the bad news early, right? When I know the bad news early, and which mostly happens in the tier 2 or the tier 3 or down the tier X supply chains, I will be able to better find a way to control my production, better find a way to ensure that my internal and external customers are not affected by that. So that's what I mean by transparency.
Yeah.
The second thing that I look forward is commitment. So the in-region supplier base, right? They do invest a lot to upgrade their capabilities, because as I said, there is a gap in capability, and the gap in capability can be matched only when you have substantial capital expenditure being poured into the business. And the commitment that we require from suppliers is to have a long-term partnership mindset and a belief to run alongside VinFast.
Yeah,
those are the two things that I would expect.
I mean, those two things are transparency through understanding the bad news early, and then that commitment for the longer term.
Exactly.
That is a great philosophy to live by and work by. Praveen, thank you so much for sharing some of your insights. We'll be back next time on the Red Sofa. Praveen, in the meantime, thank you very much.
Thank you all.